Good evening and welcome to this edition of Music by the Bay on FM Rainbow. The weekend gigs are generally special, but tonight happens to be extra special because we are joined by special guests. Kaustuv Dasgupta and I would be in conversation with two legends from the world of music, specifically the world of jazz music. A lot of us grew up listening to this gentleman's music. A lot of us still get goosebumps when we hear those notes, which take us back in time and make us realize what nostalgia is all about. The godfather of Indian jazz, Mr. Louis Banks, would be in conversation with us. Along with him, of course, the ace drummer, musician, Gino Banks, who also happens to be Mr. Louis Banks' son. We will be speaking with them on their life, their works, their music, and of course, decades and decades of how jazz music has been up close and personal from the eyes of Mr. Louis Banks. We're sure you're going to enjoy this edition of Music by the Bay on FM Rainbow.
Welcome, gentlemen. And Mr. Banks, if I may start with you. Firstly, let me start by congratulating you on receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Recording Arts Academy this year. Can you tell us what does this recognition mean to you?
I guess I deserve it. Because I've been on the scene for quite a long time. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm very happy and grateful that they remember me and my work. Yeah. So I'm thrilled.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about how you got there. You've said that you've come from 5 generations of musicians, you being the 6th in your family, with roots tracing back to Nepal, and you've spent much of your formative years in Calcutta. So can you tell us what hooked you on to jazz music?
Well, it was my father, Dad actually. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, I'm not aware. I've only listened to what Dad talked about his father and his grandfather and the great-grandfather, who were all into music.
Right.
But not jazz specifically. Jazz happened only when my father came out of Nepal, really, and came to Calcutta and met up with a lot of jazz musicians at that time. Many were foreign musicians who used to play in Calcutta.
Right.
Yeah, so that got him hooked into jazz. Yeah. Right. And he developed as a trumpet player first. Mm-hmm. And then through a pianist who was playing in the Gymkhana Club in Calcutta, who was a great pianist. And Dad got into piano, and that guy helped him along. Yeah. And Dad developed as a classical pianist in the beginning, mm-hmm. but then he got into jazz, listening to this guy play and the other fellows in the band playing. And he was playing trumpet actually at that time, mm-hmm. but he got into piano. And then me happened. Yeah, and everything I learned was from my dad right in the beginning. Yeah. From classical into swing music, jazz of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not complicated, but nice and swingy. That was the beginning. And then that's how I grew up as a jazz musician, and after listening to all the modern piano players, yeah, people like Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum, Bobby Hancock, and all these people, I just loved the way they played and I loved the music. And I slowly got into it, yeah.
Mr. Banks, you've held the view that jazz is a flexible and democratic genre, right, and is built on improvisation. And these are qualities that could otherwise define the Indian psyche at large, right? It's slightly ironic then that jazz continues to be appreciated only by a niche audience in India and perhaps even misunderstood by many. So to try and demystify that, can you tell us what does it take to understand and appreciate jazz music?
Well, jazz is very close to Indian music because of the aspect of improvisation.
Yeah.
But whereas Indian music is based on classical scales, mm-hmm. they improvise on those scales and they don't come out of those scales. Yeah.
Right.
But jazz gives you the freedom of using all the 12 notes of the scale, the chromatic notes.
Right.
Yeah. So you have that freedom to do anything you want with those 12 notes. Yeah. You're not subjected to a particular scale.
Right.
You may use it, but you can come out of it and do anything you want. So that freedom makes jazz very special.
It's truly liberating in that sense.
Yeah, and
Right.
that what attracted me actually. Yeah, because I wanted that kind of freedom to be able to do anything you want. Yeah.
Lovely. And on that note, we'll play one of your jazz compositions. We would love to do Upsy Daisy on the radio.
Oh.
And could you tell us what inspired this particular composition?
Well, listening to all the jazz greats actually, yeah. And like I said, people like Art Tatum and
right.
Oscar Peterson and all that, that sort of influenced me to come out with these compositions, yeah.
All right. And who are the instrumentalists performing on this one?
On which one?
Upsy Daisy.
Absolutely, who's the drummer?
Me.
That's my son, yeah, of course.
Sheldon.
Yeah. Sheldon on bass, Gino Banks on drums,
Yuichiro Tokuda
and
on saxophone. He's a Japanese saxophone player.
Okay.
oh yeah.
He was visiting. And
Okay.
We were playing some other shows with him, and then we got him to the studio, and Dad just said, record this song.
And on Music by the Bay, coming to you on FM Rainbow, up next is Upsy Daisy, featuring Louis Banks, Gino Banks, Sheldon De Silva, and Yuichiro Tokuda.
Upsy Daisy by Louis Bangs, and you're catching this on this very special edition of Music by the Bay on Chennai FM Rainbow 101.4 FM, Puducherry 102.8 FM, and Coimbatore 103 FM in conversation with Mr. Louis Bangs and Gino Bangs. Mr. Bangs, a pivotal moment in your career came in the late 70s when you met R.D. Burman. In one of your interviews, I did listen to you calling some of the guardian angels who have come into your life. With the move to Mumbai, how did the music scenario within you evolve?
While I was in Calcutta, I was in the world of pop music and jazz. That was it. I was not into Indian music at all at that time. And like I said, one fine night, R.D. Burman was sitting where I was playing at Blue Fox. Yeah. And when we finished our set, and somebody came and said, "The gentleman over there wants to see you, wants to meet you." I said, "Who is he?" He says, "He's a famous music director from Bombay." I said, "I have no idea." Yeah. So he said, "That's R.D. Burman." So anyway, I went up and met him, and he sort of congratulated me on my playing, and he's saying, "Would you like to come to Bombay and play in my orchestra? Play piano in one. All you have to do is play piano." Sounded great. Of course, the other sentence he said, "And you'll make a lot of money." Which was good. Yeah, at the time, we were not making a lot of money playing in a nightclub here. But we were happy, of course, playing because we were playing the music that we like. So anyway, it so happened that our contract expired in Calcutta, and I said the next best thing is to take up the offer of R.D. Burman and go to Bombay and see what happens. And that brought me to Bombay, and I went up to him, and he said, "Here I am." He said, "You can join me from tomorrow." It was so great, yeah, it was amazing. And then I became his favorite piano player. Yeah. And played in all the music that he wrote at that time, in the 70s. Yeah, and it was great. And what was nice about him is he allowed me a lot of freedom at that time. You hear the tracks of those days, yeah, the piano solos I played, I could play whatever I wanted. Yeah, he didn't specify, play this. He gave me that freedom. It was great, yeah. I enjoyed that. And the money was good.
Right. At any point, I know jazz gave you all the freedom, and with Mr. Burman also giving all the freedom, it was experimenting, putting together, bringing in a lot of fusion. At any point in time, were you tempted to probably look at other genres, to just try and check? Today, of course, I mean, you're recognized as the godfather of Indian jazz, and we're pleased to be sitting here with you. But at any point in time, did you think that you might want to experiment something else?
Later on, yeah. When I started listening to other music and other musicians, I got attracted to their playing. That happened a little later on. Later on, when this gentleman called Niranjan Zaveri started doing shows in Bombay called the Jazz Yatra. And they took me as a pianist of that band, and we became the Jazz Yatra Sextet with the famous singer Ramamani. Ranjit Baro was there. Yeah, Ranjit Baro we selected, and Braz Gonzalez we selected as saxophonist. Carl Peters on bass, yeah, and Ranjit Baro on drums, yeah, and me on piano, keyboards, Ramamani on vocals, and we became the Jazz Yatra Sextet, and we got an offer to tour Europe at that time. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was my serious involvement with fusion jazz. Yeah, that really got me started with jazz fusion. Yeah,
right. We'll ask a couple more questions on your collaboration in fusion, but then very quickly, the jazz of what it was. I mean, you've had the fortune of seeing this firsthand over the last 6 decades, close to 6 decades. The jazz that was and what is it today? Do you think there's been a major evolution? What else do you think should happen, specifically in the world of jazz?
Well, I think jazz has really evolved, and jazz musicians, they have not restricted themselves to just playing jazz swing of the era. Yeah. And today it has evolved into combining jazz with all streams of music. Yeah. And it's become very interesting now. Yeah. And I became very much part of that scene.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm still very much part of it, and I'm still playing and composing this genre of music. Yeah, very much.
Right.
This is part of my thing that I do. Yeah. Besides the straight ahead jazz, which I love playing also. Yeah. I love the fusion thing. Yeah.
Right. And continuing with the collaboration, so around the turn of the century, you took your collaborative efforts a little further, and you had collaborations with John McLaughlin, and a little closer to home, also the Indo-Jazz fusion project Silk, right? Which featured Shankar Mahadevan, Shivamani, Carl Peters, and Sridhar Parthasarathy as well. So how did this come together as a concept, and how did you balance their individual artistry with your own musical direction?
Complex.
I mean, they're all brilliant musicians in their own right.
Yeah.
And how did you then?
Because I was already into fusion music, and when I met up with Shankar, and he showed an interest into doing things with me and combining his classical knowledge and expertise into the jazz element, I just loved it, and he became such a strong influence. So that was Shankar and Carl Peters, bass, and myself, Shivamani. Shivamani became a big part of that thing. Sridhar Parthasarathy on Mridangam. Yeah, this is still one of my favorite bands, really, till now, really.
Wonderful. We'll do a song by Silk, but a quick question. So is Silk a combination of all your names?
Correct.
Shankar, Shivamani,
Actually, the two
Louis,
S's.
and two S's, yeah. Three S's, in fact.
SSILK.
I is for India.
Eyes
Eyes
for
for
India.
India.
Well said.
Louis and Carl.
All right.
Shankar and Shivamani.
Shivamani and Sridhar.
Sridhar, Shankar, Siva.
That's us.
So that's three S's.
Yes, yeah.
And the I is India.
I is for India, L for Louis, K for Carl Peters.
Right.
That makes up Silk.
In conversation with Mr. Louis Bangs and Gino Bangs on this edition of Music by the Bay, only on FM Rainbow.
Hi, I'm Louis Banks, and you're listening to Music by the Bay on FM Rainbow.
Indeed, we are. Thank you so much for welcoming us back into the show, Mr. Banks. We are in conversation with Mr. Louis Banks and Gino Banks on Music by the Bay tonight. In the house is me, Kaustuv Dasgupta, and Shaju Thomas.
Mr. Banks, besides jazz, there are those compositions of yours that bind your music to several generations of Indians. So I'm referring to your classic works like Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, Spread the Light of Freedom, Desh Rag. These came out nearly 40 years ago, but they still evoke strong feelings of nostalgia and unity. Could you tell us a little bit about the making of those tunes?
Kailash Sunindranath, Piyush Pandey, Suresh Malik, they came up with this project to create instrumental songs, actually, to highlight India, of course, and Bharat. They came up to me and said I would write a couple of songs that could relate to India and project the idea of freedom, and that's how I came up with these songs at that time.
These were all advertising guys, no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I was working with them all the time.
Yeah.
So at the time, I think it was just one of those projects also. It was not like, oh, this is going to be huge.
But it became so huge. Like, even to this day, if you sing a part of it, the other guy is going to sing the rest of it back to you.
Right.
I know.
With the juggernaut of technology that keeps disrupting almost every aspect of life, which includes music, right? So we now have AI, artificial intelligence, that compose music just based on a few prompts, right? What is your view on where this is going?
On AI,
Yes, AI in music specifically.
it had to go there, really. Yeah, because we've done enough in this world. We had to go outside this world into some other planets. And AI happened, really. Artificial intelligence, yeah.
But do you feel at some level music must remain natural, must remain human?
Played as opposed to somebody just saying, give me this song and the computer gives the song.
Oh, no, yeah, no. The roots must stay firm, really, definitely.
So you have had a phenomenal and long career spanning over 6 decades, and you've seen it all, changing music scenes in India, collaborations with international and Indian exponents, and so much more. So what's the legacy you want to be remembered for, and what's your message to upcoming musicians?
Be disciplined about music, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. Don't neglect the roots. Yeah. Because that's where it starts. And then keep your mind open for new things that you may encounter and develop and introduce those aspects in the music of tomorrow, really. Yeah. And come up with different things, yeah.
Right.
We've tapped everything as possible, yeah. There is really in music, but there is so much more, yeah, to be tapped. And I just hope that newer things will happen and new great musicians will emerge out of this collaboration of East-West and much more, really, yeah.
So essentially your legacy is like, let the door be open to more collaboration and ever-widening thought and action in music.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Mr. Banks, if I can ask you, if you had an opportunity to go back in time, is there anything that you have done differently?
No.
We didn't hear that, sorry.
Just one word, no. Yeah, I've been lucky and thankful to God really, and to, of course, my father, who taught me music, really, and I'm so happy that I could contribute to the growth of fusion music in my own way, yeah, and I'm really thankful that people remember me by that, and I just hope till the end of my day I keep on doing different things and just making new music all the time and playing what I played also.
Right.
So ideas keep coming to my head, and yeah, well, I keep on doing these things, yeah, and I'm really grateful.
And we are immensely grateful to you as well, Mr. Banks, not only for the decades of beautiful music, but also for taking the time for this sparkling conversation. And on that note, it's time to roll out an instrumental track, which for our listeners, if you've been around in the late 80s and 90s, might remind you of your favorite sportspersons running across a country with the torch of freedom lit and held high. This is Spread the Light of Freedom.
right, can somebody tell me how to get rid of goosebumps? Every time I catch this, they refuse to go. And those goosebumps are still there. Mr. Louis Banks, the man who made it all in the flesh. Thank you indeed, Mr. Louis Banks, for taking the time to speak with Kaustuv and me. And hey, you're catching us on Chennai FM Rainbow 101.4 FM, on Puducherry 102.8 FM, Coimbatore 103 FM, and for those of you who are catching us on the News on Air app, thank you very much indeed for tuning in. We're now moving over to the son, the ace musician and drummer Gino Banks, and here we are in conversation with Gino.
So Gino, you've been a professional musician in your own right. You're a professional jazz drummer.
I'm a drummer. I'm a musician. I play all styles of music. Right. I get the jazz tag because of Dad.
Right.
But of course, I do play jazz quite a lot, but I play all genres of music. Yeah.
Right. And you've worked and you've played with Mr. Banks as well on many occasions, right? So, father-son relationship aside, on stage, how does that dynamic play out?
It's more of because he's my guru, he's my mentor, right?
Yeah.
I had to practice how to play drums, but I learned music from him.
Right.
So, off stage, of course, it was a very personal father-son relationship, like any father-son thing. And looking at the music business, it might seem odd to regular people, but for me, that was the normal lifestyle. So the stage and the studio, all these things were not alien. It was like normal things, So when I started to play, it was very comfortable. I used to sit with him on stage when I was a child, like 6-7 years old.
Right.
I wanted to be on stage and sit next to him while he played concerts,
Right.
So I went through that phase. So the stage thing was not much of a difference. Only when I started playing with him, it was more of like a mentor musician kind of relationship, like a senior musician who I learned from.
Right.
So that development started when we started playing.
And you're pretty versatile yourself, right? You've worked on jazz fusion work, you've worked on Bollywood, you've done session work as well. So what part of your drumming personality aligns best with who you are as an artist?
I think the part of music I enjoy the most is improvisation. So now fusion is the best melting pot for me to explore, because it's not just jazz or rock or progressive music. It's got elements of everything. There's a freedom to play anything, So that allows me to create things and improvise and, come up with things that has not happened before, that I've not played before. So that gives me the most joy. I enjoy the process of composition and going to a studio and crafting a perfect drum part for a pop song,
Right.
That is also something I enjoy. But my true love is the improv side of music, yeah.
And so if we could talk about the mainstream music in general, right? So over the last several decades and perhaps more so in recent times, do you feel music, the Western music, the pop music out on radio, do you feel it is beginning to fit into some kind of standard template?
Oh yeah, we're going to soon have 30-second songs.
30-second songs, right?
This way at the rate it's going. It's crazy because as a musician, when you study so much, you learn so much, you see the beauty of rhythms and harmony and melody, and then you listen to pop music that is basically 8 bars of music, that is the whole song.
Right.
I find it bland. I find it very factory and, McDonald's-esque.
Right.
And it doesn't really excite me listening to, as opposed to pop music from the 90s or the 80s, had still more substance, had longer songs, had more structure, had more variety in the music and melody. A good melody is a good melody. I wouldn't say songs are bad now. If a song has a great melody, it catches you, it hooks you, or great lyric.
Right.
These things capture you. But if you hear just like the first 8 bars or like maybe 30 seconds of it, that's the song.
Right.
And I enjoy like Dream Theater and Chikwera Electric Band songs are like 15 minutes, So I don't mind it. I like I said, I like catchy melodies, but I don't see new pop music really having that kind of adventurous songwriting anymore in the mainstream. There are people who write pop songs that have some substance and have some interesting arrangements, but stuff that you see on the charts is really not as adventurous, I think. I mean, a lot of pop music that's becoming a hit now is all like revisiting the 80s almost.
Yeah.
The Weeknd, Sabrina Carpenter, all their music is like the 80s. You know?
Right.
So it's interesting to see that.
Those grooves are sort of coming
The sound, the groove,
Yeah.
the melodies, it could be from 1985, you know?
Right. And how do you see the Indian independent music, the pop scene, the rock scene, fusion? There's so many bands coming out these days. How are we faring in comparison to how the traditional Western music?
I would say
has
the
come
Indian
along?
music scene is fantastic right now because of the internet. Everybody has the opportunity to release their own music, to put out their own product.
Yeah.
As a level of musicianship, I think India had a lot of great musicians in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Then it kind of died down because a lot of programming started to happen, a lot of watering down of live performances started to happen. So the quality, I think, of live players were not as high as it was in the 60s and 70s, but now it's back again. Because I think, especially in jazz, I think we have the most number of world-class level musicians now in India, which is fantastic. And even in heavy metal, there's a metal scene.
Yeah.
Or there are scenes. All the genres have their own scenes, independent of record labels and stuff like that.
Right.
And there's a band, Gutslit, my friend Aaron Pinto plays drums with them. They tour, they go to Japan, they go to Europe independently. They're not with anybody. So if you have the means, if you're determined enough, you can make things happen for yourself now. And I think all these scenes exist within themselves and it's thriving.
Right. So it would be then fair to say that everyone have their sweet spot.
Yeah.
All of us will coexist, and you're really not saying that a particular genre could die off or fade away.
Yeah. See, if people have the love for the music,
Right.
they will, and if they want to play an instrument and play with people and make that music, it'll happen.
Right.
And I think there's an audience for everything.
Correct.
Provided it's also showcased in the right way. We need venues. We can't do it without venues.
Right.
So venue support, festival support, and having a good mix of things happening. I mean, the pop festivals are a little diverse that way. They don't really book an extreme variety of acts. But then there will be a festival suddenly that's just doing metal. Or then there are so many little jazz events that happen around the country.
Right.
So as opposed to, I would say 20 years ago, there were these big festivals that happened. NH7 used to have multiple genres.
Right.
All these festivals used to do multiple genre stuff. Now it's not so multi-genre. They kind of focus on a particular vibe.
Right.
But then each genre has their own thing going on.
Right.
And I think it's growing.
Right. Right. So like they say, there are some things in life that AI can't take over, and music.
Yeah. I mean, the AI thing is, right now it's going to probably, I think, if anything, affect the recording business, the music recording business, because it's not a visual thing.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody just puts in a prompt to kind of get a jingle or get a song or whatever just to put out, but then you can't see the band play that song or the artist sing that song. So I think it might just propel the live music scene even more.
Okay. Right.
Because AI is going to churn out stuff that has already existed in the world. People will get it. So it becomes generic.
Right.
And like I said, it's like factory canned processed foods that in the beginning might be, oh wow, this is so good. And then you realize this is really bad for you.
And it's the same stuff over
exactly.
and over.
So it's detrimental to your being, I think. And what music makes you feel otherwise is liberating.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's intangible stuff. So I think people will naturally feel this in the long run. Because a lot of my friends who are not musicians, sometimes they say, oh, I've heard this song, and then they play this song for me, and you just think that's an AI song. And you're like, what?
Right. One question I always ask whenever we interview artists is, how do you keep the creative juice flowing? What do you do when you think that you've hit a hard stop, for example, when the ideas are not coming in? What do you do?
That keeps happening though. Every now and then you think, I don't know anything. It's like, I can't play this. I'm not getting any ideas. I think I'm playing the same thing again and again. Or it's the part of growth. Because if you don't think like that, you're not growing, I think.
Right.
Because then you kind of search for something. You might meet another musician you never met before, might inspire you. You might hear a song
Sure.
that will be like, oh, something in this triggers something new in me. But I always felt sometimes if I'm in a rut, is I go back to the basics sometimes.
Okay.
Like when I practice, I go back to the fundamentals and kind of smoothen that out.
Right.
And that just enhances things
Right.
that you want to do later. And also, going back to music that I used to listen to years ago. When you listen to sometimes music that you used to listen to a lot and you haven't heard it for a while and you come back to it, you find new things in it.
Right.
And it can inspire.
Right. Someone once said noise on the street can inspire.
Yeah.
The neighbor's dog can inspire.
Which is crazy, no? Because you get like the heaviest metal bands from like Norway and Sweden where it's so quiet.
Where are their ideas coming
I know, and then in India we have so much noise.
Right.
Where it's like, how do you make this pristine music then?
Right.
You know? Yeah.
So Gino, for our audience, where can we find your music and Mr. Banks' music online?
Right now, of course, all streaming platforms have Dad's projects and my albums as well. And YouTube and Instagram is something that we really have a lot of material on. So, because the way the media is right now, we don't just record albums. When we record an album, we film it. So you will see the videos as well of the projects on YouTube. So all streaming platforms, Instagram and YouTube, where it's most active.
And what's the handle for YouTube and Instagram?
It'll be Gino Banks Official for YouTube and Instagram, and Louis Banks Official for YouTube and Instagram.
Louis with a Z.
Louis with a Z.
Louis with a Z. Right. All right. Thank you so much, Gino, for taking the time to talk to us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you so much. Well, donning a trademark baseball cap, his distinctive dark goggles, along with his hallmark goatee and long curly locks, you'll recognize the man. But it's his music that has done all the talking. For the legend that he is, all that Kaustuv and I saw was humility personified. Mr. Louis Banks, we're indeed privileged to have had the opportunity to meet with you and hear from you. We wish you continued success, health, and a lot more music. Thanks a million once again for joining us and entertaining our listeners. So how did Dambar Bahadur Buddhapriti become Louis Banks? Well, like he always says, it is his dad all the way. The father himself was an accomplished jazz pianist and trumpet player, renamed his son to Louis Banks in honor of the legendary Louis Armstrong.